Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our very first edition of Bob's On Air Tech Talk. We're very excited to be here this evening with you, and we are looking forward to bringing you the news and reviews and all the exciting things that are going on in tech world in general every week at 8:08. Bob says start when the clock says Bob. So here today we've got a few of our very good friends. Some of the team is here with us tonight. I'm Alvy. You guys see me kind of frequently on YouTube. But we also have Cliff Wade. He's our CEO and Executive Financial Officer and all the big guy there. He's the founding member of Tech Dissected, so it's nice to have him here tonight. Also have my co-host, Tony McAfee. He's here every week, just about, and he's going to share some special stuff this week. And Fred Scholl is going to be here this week as well. He went to the LG conference, so he's going to be sharing about the LG G3 event. And every week we're going to bring to you a special guest. It's going to bring something fantastic and something new and something different to the BOATT experience just for you. And this week it is Mr. Chuck Haines. So with all that being said, every week we'll do this, so let's get on the BOATT. All right, once again, my name is Alvy, and this is Bob's On Air Tech Talk with Tech Dissected, and we are live on the air. So you can find this video currently on YouTube, and we'll share the video and the links throughout the week through our Google Plus page and Twitter and MySpace and Instagram and Pinterest and GeoCities and all the old stuff and all the new stuff, everything in and about and around. You can find that on all the socials, as they say, the kiddies do. So here joining us this week, we also have Cliff Wade. He's our founding member, and I'm going to introduce him and let him speak for just a second. Introduce yourself, Cliff Wade, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's up, everyone? Obviously, my name is Cliff Wade. I founded Tech Dissected, just a blog about everything tech, running out with some cool guys, Alvy, Tony, Fred, a bunch of others. Just wanted to get together with everybody and just discuss all things tech. Want to thank everybody for coming out to the show, and I hope y'all enjoy it. We'll definitely be doing this every week for y'all, and hopefully, if you're interested in joining us, let us know. We'll get you on the air with us. We'll hang out, have fun.
Excellent. Thanks, Cliff, a bunch. Also here joining us is my co-host. He'll be here every week with us, and that's Mr. Tony McAfee. Tony McAfee is one of the team members, and he's also in and about a lot of social media. He's also one of the people at Swappa. So, Tony, share a little bit about yourself.
Hi guys, as he said, I'm Tony McAfee. I had a customer service at swappa.com. You know, the main source for used Android devices. Also now I guess we also sell iPhones now, but iPhones, Windows phones, pretty much anything mobile. If you can take it off the keyboard and run around with it, we'll let you sell it. I also write for AndroidGuys.com and joined up with Tech Dissected when they decided to do their launch. We have a special thing going on today, just as a kind of a special treat for our launch. If you have a Galaxy S4 or know anyone with a Galaxy S4, you can get a Minion case for free. It's only been put on a phone one time, and I kind of ripped the box opening it, but good as new. So we'll share some details on how to get that a little bit later on.
Excellent. Thanks, Tony. Yeah, we'll be giving away that case here in this chat. So stay tuned in the next 20 or 30 minutes. You too can have a chance to win that Minions Galaxy S4, correct, Tony? Galaxy S4 case. Excellent. Also joining us, and I'm super excited about this, is one of the members here at Tech Dissected as well, Mr. Fred Scholl. He went to the LG G3 event. He's going to share a little bit about that later. But Fred, will you introduce yourself in a little bit about your personality?
Hey folks, very glad to be here, very glad to be a part of the Tech Dissected team. I've got kind of a general passion for all things techie and so forth. I've done a fair amount of writing about Android in the past, and happened to be in the right place at the right time when Tech Dissected was emerging and coming together at a point in time where it seemed timely for me also to branch out to become more of a generalist. And again, very happy to be here, very happy to have this excellent forum to share ideas and dialogues in, and very happy to be a part of this awesome team here, and looking forward to these Hangouts every Thursday.
Excellent. Thanks a bunch, Fred. Fred, I'm really excited to find out what you learned at the LG event here in just a minute. But last but not least, let's not forget our dear friend, Mr. Chuck Haines. He'll be joining us. He's a special guest, and hopefully we'll see his face around here a little more. And he has that fancy microphone that I'm very jealous of. So would everyone please welcome Mr. Chuck Haines.
Hey, thanks, Alvy. As Alvy said, my name is Chuck Haines. I'm the senior scapegoat specialist for chess.com. We actually don't have titles at chess.com, so I figured that was a pretty good title for myself. I seem to get blamed for a lot of things, so it seems to work out pretty well. As far as the tech world goes, kind of a self-proclaimed tech geek. I like everything when it comes to Android, iOS, Apple, Mac, Windows. Kind of doesn't matter to me. Whatever's the best tool for the job is kind of what I'm interested in. Kind of a self-proclaimed tech geek. Got a HTC M8 for my phone, a MacBook Pro for my laptop, and my Chromebook sitting next to me. So I guess kind of the best of all worlds. So yeah, I guess we'll get into some great things later. But thanks for having me on the show. I've been bugging Cliff like heck to actually get on here and start this. So I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. Yeah, we're glad that you're here with us too. And I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody and get everybody so they can kind of chime in as we go. And just to remind everybody that's viewing, we do have a Galaxy S4 case. It's a minion case. Tony, if you'll show that for everybody while I'm talking about it.
Let me pull it out of the case here.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's a Galaxy S4 minion case, something cute, something precious, something adorable that all the it's sexy. Let's just go ahead and admit that. But then we'll be giving that away during this talk, so keep your eyes and ears open for that. Also,
super premium and super. Let's see, what was the word here? Super premium and definitely certified. Make phone different. Love that. So if you want to make your phone different, made in China. So, but it does feel good. It's nice.
Excellent. And yeah, you guys can win that. And let me also direct you that are at home watching this. The Q&A is live, so if you want to ask Chuck or Cliff or Tony, myself, or even Fred some question, please go ahead and click on the Q&A, send that in, and I'll ask those questions for you. And again, if you guys are not able to watch this live, it will be on our social media and on the Tech Dissected website as well, so you guys can catch this later throughout the week. So let's go ahead and get started. Mr. Fred, you went to the LG G3 event, and I've got a couple questions for you, but just go ahead and share your experience, and then we'll get down into the meat and potatoes of things.
Sure, fair enough. Yes, I was lucky enough to get an invite to the LG G3 Day, as they touted it, and what this actually turned out to be was a synchronized event in multiple locations. It was in New York, San Francisco, London, Istanbul, Seoul, Korea, I think, and Singapore, if I'm not mistaken. And as it turned out, the actual center or epicenter of the event was in London. The rest of us got a live stream feed of the presentation. I love these kind of events. I love the buzz of a new device coming out, and like many of us here, I'm a little bit of a sucker for a new phone. But I think generally speaking, the LG folks did did a real nice job of putting together a nice product here, not only in terms of the specs, but in terms of really trying to create a streamlined, slick, and fairly elegant user experience in a nice package. So I'm sure you're going to have more specific questions, so I'll pass back to you, Alvy.
Well, really, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the device in general. I know you wrote a couple articles on TechDissected.com that everybody can go check out. But really, I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. It's a brand new phone. You're a fan of technology. You know technology, and you're also a writer. So you kind of bridge the gap between industries. You're a fan and you're inside of it. Just as a fan, as a fanboy, or just somebody that enjoys tech, what was it like to be at an event like this? Because I've always wanted to go to like an E3 or Google I/O or some press event like this, and you got to go. What's it like to go to something like that?
Well, I haven't been to I/O, but and I don't think it certainly pales by comparison to something of that stature. But it's a similar kind of a vibe in that everybody's there waiting to see this new piece of gear, and once again, the specs were not a surprise. I think we got about a day or two before the event, not just the leaks, but the actual official word on the specs. And I've seen a few of these events, and they can get a little bit redundant. I've seen some that were just kind of too cute and catchy and cliche, and certainly for this one there was a share of that. This phone was promoted with a slogan or almost a mantra of simplicity is the new smart, and you know, I saw that at first, and my immediate reaction was kind of yeah, okay, you know, let's you know, it's easy to say, and their literature and even in the presentation they went as far as to quote Ralph Waldo Emerson and Leonardo da Vinci with quotes about simplicity, which kind of caught my attention, but the device itself did not disappoint, and the general buzz of the event was pretty cool. The first, I want to say about 45 minutes or so, consisted primarily of watching the streaming video, in which presenters from LG did a nice job of presenting the features, and there are quite a few innovations, both in terms of camera, video display, audio enhancements, and you know, once the details were all presented, we were all kind of whisked into another room on another floor of this tower on the west side of Manhattan, where the phones were out for handling and photo ops, et cetera, et cetera. As this is all going on, this was a catered event, and you know, people were buzzing around, passing out drinks, and cute little miniature hors d'oeuvres, tiny little cheeseburgers, and little grilled cheese sandwiches, and so forth. You know, again, some of that stuff gets kind of cute, but I was at the rollout for the Galaxy S2, I believe, in which they served a drink specially customized for the event called the Galaxy S2 Teeny.
Oh, wow.
You know, their own unique the martini recipe of the day, but and anyway, yeah, it was exciting. Having been a little bit out of the loop for a while, it was kind of great to be back there, rubbing elbows with other bloggers and other journalists, and kind of just catching the whole buzz of the event. And there certainly was one. And as I said, the phone itself does not seem to disappoint.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of raved about it, kind of live with us when you were just talking about how it was with you. It's exciting when you're at those kinds of things, and I know they know how to build buzz. They know how to make not cool things look cool. And now that like the excitement is worn off. The martinis have dried out for you. All the things have gone, and now you're looking back a week ago at this event. Is the phone still as good as it was a few days ago at the event?
Well, judging by my recollection and my photos of it and my notes, I have to say yes. I certainly wish I had one here to play with. I certainly hope I can get my hands on a review unit once those come out. I got a little bit of hands-on time, enough to snap a few photos, play around with the interface a little, get a feel for how the thing felt in my hand, play around with the camera a little bit and so forth. But the real test of time for me is to take something out with me on the road and field test it for a couple of weeks, use it to make phone calls, use it in ordinary life, use it in my car as I'm traveling around and so forth. So still very excited about it and still looking forward to actually getting one to play with for more than just a few minutes.
Awesome.
For people like me who haven't seen it or haven't read up on it, what are some of the specs? What processor and how much RAM and what about the camera? So I'm just curious. I haven't really read much on it yet.
Sure. The processor is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 801, and according to the literature, goes up to a 2.5 gigahertz quad core. So I'm guessing that there may be multiple models or sub-models there. The camera, rear camera is 13 megapixels. Front camera is 2.1, not the highest resolution front camera, but it does a respectable performance. As far as the camera goes, one of the cooler features there is laser autofocus. We're all familiar with laser technology from police speed traps, and I understand it's used on more high-end cameras as well. But for this one, correct me if anybody knows me to be wrong, but this may be the first instance of a laser autofocus on a cell phone. Basically, the technology is that it bounces a laser beam off the target to measure the distance and uses that to focus, as opposed to other methods of focus. Another innovation on the camera is that by using the laser autofocus, they're basically able to do a one-step wake up the camera, locate the target, and shoot in one spot. When you pick up the camera and look at it, you've got a number of focus points on the screen. Just tapping on one of those immediately and very rapidly focuses on that area and shoots all in one spot. You don't have to go through a preview and focus phase before you can hit the button.
That's cool.
Display itself is probably the most impressive aspect of the phone. Basically what they've done here is come up with a much higher density screen display, and this I talked about in my article, and that sparked a Q&A conversation on Tech Dissected. But basically there's always been the impression that 330 pixels per inch was the maximum resolution that the human eye could really comfortably discern. And printing, I'm sorry, 300 was the number. Printing industry apparently is certainly used to working with much higher density than that. What they've done here is packed in more pixels, reduce the pixel size by about 44%, and come up with a number which I'm sorry I don't have right in front of me, but I'm sorry, here it is. It's 538 pixels per inch. I put some photos up there, and of course that didn't really do it justice once it went through my camera and displayed on the screen. But from the display that I saw, to my eye, it was certainly a very discernible difference. And on the phone itself, the display was crystal sharp and clearer and finer than anything I've seen so far.
Excellent, excellent.
I got a quick question, Fred, and this comes from somebody that commented on one of our posts the other day on Google Plus while you were at the event. As a prior owner of a G2 several months, one neat little feature was on the back of the phone, as we all know, there's buttons, the power button, and volume buttons. The question from one of the guys that commented on the post was, does the G3 have the little lighted ring around the button on the back to let you know about notifications? That was something that the G2 had, so that when if your phone was face down, it would flash and blink or whatever. And I mean, it was just one solid color on the G2, of course. But is that something that's available or present on the G3? Do you know? Did you notice that by any chance?
That is a good question. There is. I did see the question, and I went back and looked at my photos and some other photos. To my recollection, was not covered in the presentation, but it does look like there is some sort of a notification light near that rear-facing button. And there is a notification light on the front. It looks like a multicolor LED light. But again, it's something I did not take note of. I apologize, did not take note of that in the presentation. I did notice the rear button, and it was accessible through that quick circle case, and that was basically the way to wake the phone up when it's in that quick circle case. But I'll see if I can find the answer out on it to that notification.
Okay. Because for me as a G2 owner, that was probably the second most awesome feature of the phone that I felt. The one better than that to me was the knock on and knock off feature. Just to be able to double tap that screen and turn it off and turn it on just like that. It took me probably 3 weeks to get used to not being able to do that once I switched phones from my G2.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, what they've done regarding that knock action on the G3 is that they've taken it a step further, and now you can bypass the usual lock screen, password, gesture, etc. by setting up what they call a knock code. And what you can do here is set up a sequence of taps, a rhythmic pattern of taps on the screen, and they can be placed in one of 4 regions on the screen. So it's apparently, I don't recall the math, but it's apparently an enormous number of permutations of taps, knock patterns that can be done, and certainly increased security. And I think the corollary to that is that one tap simply wakes the screen up to a lock screen from which you can still access the clock and maybe some basic functionality like emergency calls and so forth.
Nice.
I'd be curious how if exchange policies would disable that whole tapping of the various parts of the screen. I know exchange policies sometimes face unlock, the pattern unlock. Most times, if you have exchange on your phone, those are disabled. The only thing you can use either a password or a PIN lock. So I'd be curious to know if that's actually enabled with exchange policies or not.
Good question.
Very good.
Yeah, that's a good question. And just to remind everybody, it looks like we've got a few more viewers out there. We are giving away a Galaxy S4 Minion case. Tony, if you'll show that one more time before we move on to Mr. Chuck Haines here. That's the Minions from Despicable Me 2. Got a Galaxy S4 case we'll be giving away in this chat, so stick around for that. And also check out our Q&A. If you've got a question for any of the guys here, or myself included, if you got a question for any of the guys, just hit the Q&A and we'll make sure to get your questions answered. So let's move right along. Mr. Chuck Haines from chess.com. Also a little bit of development in your past as well. You mind sharing a little bit of your history with things?
Sure. So like Alvy said, currently I'm a software developer for chess.com. Like the actual board game. Some people think that I say chest. It's actually chess. Chess.com. That's my day job. By night, kind of hack on anything open source. Previously, I worked on actually an Android ROM called Team Baked ROM. Some viewers and people might actually be familiar with that. Worked on that for quite a while. Unfortunately, I'm so busy nowadays that I just don't have the time that I'd like to dedicate to that. I really, really wish I could get back into that. Team Baked ROM isn't dead. It's kind of a little bit latent right now, but there are some guys working on it behind the scenes. They are actually hoping to bring it back up and re-release it with kind of, I guess, some new management, if you might. So they are trying to get it back up and running. With any ROM, you do it in your free time. As time permits, and as everyone knows, unfortunately, when you run out of time, sometimes things that you do for fun are kind of the first things to go. So, as far as my background goes itself, open source developer, I kind of consider myself a jack of all trades and a master of none. I've done everything from embedded programming to web programming to .NET, Java. Basically, if you name it, I've probably programmed it. So kind of like to delve into just about everything, but not really specialize. I think once you specialize, you kind of lose the fun of being able to dabble in everything.
Yeah, and I dabble in none of that stuff. Development in general just is completely beyond me. I do understand it is difficult to develop for KitKat. Is that correct?
I actually have not developed a whole lot for KitKat. I'm probably going to get slaughtered by some of the Android people, but most of my mobile development has actually been for iOS. Sadly, that's where the money is these days. So most of my development is there. I don't know why, but it seems that the Apple people are more willing to spend money for whatever reason. So most times when I do, most of my work is consulting and contract work. The first thing people ask is, how quickly can we get an iOS version on the App Store? Because when people talk app stores, outside the tech world, unfortunately, what they mean the Apple App Store. Yeah. So most of my development revolves around iOS. I really, really would like to do some more Android development. So if there's anyone out there who wants to pay me to do Android development, by all means, let me know.
Nice, shameless plug. I love it.
Hey, Chuck, real quick, tell us with your iOS development, anything that you can tell us specifically that you've worked on, something that kind of common that we might know by name or anything like that.
My most recent apps, none of you guys probably might know, but so for a while, I actually part-owned a startup, and part of the focus of the startup is educational apps. So apps for in the classroom, apps for teachers. My wife would probably kill me for saying that because she's completely anti-technology in the classroom. But kind of the focus of the startup, where we got started was, these teachers they're given iPads in the classroom, but they don't have a clue what to do with them. It's great. We spend this great technology budget for classrooms, but then we don't actually train teachers how to use them properly. So one of the tools that we actually developed early on was a way that teachers could go in and actually create their own mobile apps targeted to iPads originally. These teachers, they've got great content. They've got content they've developed over the years. They've got their lesson plans. They've got their homework. They've got those kind of things. But how do they get that on the iPad? What do they do? Because they don't want to change their workflow. They don't want to change the lessons they've been teaching for years. How do they get what they're doing now on the iPad and make the iPad useful in the classroom as opposed to just sticking a student in front of a game? So the Learning Mag is actually the name of the application. What it does, it lets a teacher go in, uses a very simple web editor, and at the end, what they produce is a web app they can distribute to their students. With their content, videos, pictures, text, classwork, that kind of things. So that's one of the things I've developed, and more recently, what that's led to is actually a memory matching game that I've developed for a teacher. I forget where she's actually based out of, but as of last count, over the course of 6 games, I think we had 200,000 downloads. For about a month after release, which for me is a pretty big deal. I know it's only 200,000 downloads, but for a developer like me, that's pretty big news. But kind of the unique take on this is instead of a traditional memory match game where you're maybe matching an apple to an apple, what this actually does is builds on vocabulary. So what we had was 5 different memory matching games. We had synonyms, antonyms, homophones, contractions, and there was one other one we developed. So in addition to actually the memory matching game itself, you had the vocabulary aspect of it. So you had to figure out, what's the antonym of this, what's the synonym of this. So you kind of incorporate, both of those into the same game, and it seems to have had some success. We've gotten a decent bit of press about it, in various classrooms. And then one of the kind of our other core apps we've done for the startup that I part own is what we call our just-in-case apps. Now, that's not an app you'd actually find in the App Store. It's actually an HTML5 app, so it's more a web page they download onto the iPad or Android device. Suicide prevention these days, huge deal in colleges, huge deal in high schools. People are really getting grants for learning more about suicide prevention and the issues that come with, people in college and trying to prevent those kind of things. And how do we get information to those students quickly? How do we get the numbers that they need to call in an emergency? If they're suffering from depression, they're suffering from something like that. So what our just-in-case apps do is allows colleges to create an app that's custom tailored for them. In a specific design that we have under the just-in-case app name. And we've got a number of colleges that subscribe to this, UCLA, UMBC, there's a whole bunch of other ones that are recently coming on board. So that's kind of been our biggest app recently. You won't find it in the App Store, unfortunately. We're more of an HTML5 based focus on that, just because we want to hit iPads, we want to hit Androids, iOS, basically anything that we want to hit while not being restricted to necessarily what Apple wants to do or not do on us.
Nice. Very interesting, man.
Yeah, really.
I have a question. You said that your apps are mainly for the iPad right now for education?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'm working with actually the private school I used to attend, Heritage Christian School here in Canton, Ohio. And their technology administrator is interested in putting a bunch of Android tablets in their lower grade school and in preschool rooms just for the kids to use. So I'm working with them to try to get a bunch of tablets, entry-level tablets. I think the one we're looking at is around $100 to $129 each, because they want a fleet of them. They want 50 or so, and so we're kind of waiting for the grant money and just to see what happens. So they're using one called Raz Kids. Have you heard of that?
No, I actually haven't heard of that.
Okay. Well, I'd really like to see you guys get an app on Android, because for this, it's a smaller private school, so iPads are some teachers will bring in their own iPads, but getting a bunch of them for an entire classroom is out of the question for them. At least unless they get a public school grant for it. Public schools, they may pay for that, but they're not allowed to use it for any of the religious stuff. So, right. But yeah, I'm very interested to see where the educational app development goes. And if you guys do anything for Android, I know at least one school that put it on every tablet.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah, the thing is Apple essentially gives iPads away to classrooms for the most part. They give grants, and that's been the big push. Android really and Google has just recently really gotten into the education realm. I was actually just reading an article here, in the local school district here in McPherson. For the next year for the education budget, they've approved $275,000, and of that, only 100 of that they're buying basically 100 iPads, but 275 Chromebooks. Which I was actually kind of impressed on, because Chromebooks really are taking a place in the educational market, and I think if Google can really find a way, they just released not too long ago, the ability to basically run Android applications under the Chrome framework. I forget what the name of it is. I only briefly read it, but if Google can really find a way to do what Microsoft is doing, and I hate to use Microsoft as an example, but Microsoft has the develop once, run anywhere kind of platform. If you develop on .NET, you can run it on their Surface tablets, you can run it on Windows 8, you can run it on Xbox, you can run it on their Windows Phone. It's really easy to take a single code base and run it across all their platforms. If Google can figure that out, I think that they'll really have something special, because whether a student has an Android tablet or they have a Chromebook or they have just, everyone runs Chrome these days. I mean, I think Chrome, statistically speaking, is the top browser that most people run. If they can figure that out, I think that they will make a huge penetration into the educational market that Apple really, really has a hold on right now. Apple's a closed ecosystem, so once you get into the Apple system, iPads, you're going to use Macs, you're in that closed ecosystem. That's what Apple wants. So Google really has to find a way to break into that ecosystem on their range of devices. And I'll be really, really curious to see what they can do, in that aspect.
A lot of really interesting stuff. A lot of stuff that just blows me away, like things that are well beyond my realm of understanding. And when you get into it, it's like, man, there's a lot more to it than just, hey, I have an idea, let me throw it up on an app store and hope people download it and pay me money for it.
Yeah, I've tried that, and unfortunately, especially the Apple App Store. I mean, there's how many millions of apps now? Unless you have a unique take and you can find a way to get press on it, you'll just get lost in the muck that is either of the app stores, really.
Yeah, there's so much stuff. Trying to set yourself apart is nearly impossible, but it's not. You can do it, but it's tough. All right, guys, let me move on just really quick and remind everybody that's watching, I've got a few questions I want to ask everybody here. Toddy King or Potato King, I never remember how to say your name. Chuck, your story sounds like mine. Where do I get where do I get to be fancy with a pro mic and headset? That's obviously to you, Chuck.
Well, actually, this is a Yeti Blue microphone, and I actually have to say that I just bought it a week ago. When Cliff IM'd me and said that, hey, you're going to be on the Hangout, I said, well, I got to actually find something that makes me, look intelligent, because I can't necessarily sound intelligent. At least I can look intelligent, right? So yeah, the Yeti Blue Yeti or Yeti Blue, I forget what it's called. It's a little about $100 on Amazon, and as you can see, I'm really, really still trying to figure it out. So if you go on Amazon, look for the Blue Yeti, I believe it's called. Should be around $100, maybe a little bit more. When I looked online to say, hey, what's and ask some people, what's the best mic I can get that's not going to break the bank, because I don't have thousands of dollars to spend on a mic, and most people came back and said the Blue Yeti is a very good mic for very inexpensive, unless you want to go spend $2,000. I said, well, I don't want to go spend $2,000, so let's go with that mic.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I mean, and it sounds really good and looks really good, too. All right, and then Dislikes XFX, hopefully I'm saying your name right as well. I have a great idea for a website, but I'm too scared to tell people. I need the site made, but if I explain it to the wrong person, the new idea could be stolen. What do I do?
I can answer that. I'd like to field that question actually. To be honest, let me give a little bit of back history. Before Tech Dissected, we were Android Dissected. Obviously, I'm deep into Android stuff. It's something I mess with day in and day out. And I decided after writing for OMG Droid for a while that I wanted to focus on developers. Give them the attention that they needed. Folks like Chuck, who was doing Team Baked ROM, all these guys that do back in the day theme chooser themes and icon packs and all of that. And I decided I wanted to put a site together. And I was in the same boat. Where do I start? What name do I give it? If I tell somebody else, they're going to take an idea. They've probably got money. They're going to run with it. And then I'll be the second guy to do what I wanted to do, and probably won't be successful. So luckily and thankfully, my father, who is 70 years old, who happened to be an Android user, we sat down, and he's one of these guys that comes up with wild and crazy stuff. He's a nature lover. He tell you any bird, any fish, any animal. But basically, he can come up with just about anything. And he was the one that actually named my site, the original site, Android Dissected. And I was like, all right, well, that's pretty cool. But tell me what the name means to you. And he kind of went a little further. And for any of those, for those of you that might know, who've been around us for a while, I know Chuck's been with me for probably about 18 months now. So he knows the back history. I'm sure Alvy and Fred and a couple of others follow this. But he had this little slogan called ADDITS, ADDITS. And when my dad gave me the name of the site, Android Dissected, he's like, well, you can always have a slogan called ADDITS. And I was like, ADDITS? What in the world does that mean? And it came up to be that it was Android Dissected, delving inside the system. And what he did, he took the first letter of each word, and that's how we came up with our slogan. So with that being said, where do you start? Right, because if you tell someone, the chances of them taking your idea and running with it is probably going to happen in today's society. So what I would do is I would talk to someone that you're very best friends with, maybe somebody within your family, someone that you know you have complete and total confidence in, and just throw around ideas. Don't rush it. Don't try to get it out there tomorrow. Don't try to get it out there next week. Take your time. If you have a name, the right slogan, the right thoughts, the right overall picture in your head, you're going to be a lot more successful than you will if you say, hey, I got this idea, I need to get it out there tomorrow before somebody else does. Just because someone else does it before you doesn't mean that you can't do it better than them. So basically, just confide in someone that you really trust, someone that you know is not, going to go off and do something. I mean, my dad's 70 years old. He barely knows how to get to gmail.com, so I knew he wasn't going to go and start his own Android Dissected website anytime soon. So to me, and that's my story, just confide in someone, that you really and truly trust. And you know what? It may even be someone that you want to start the website with. Have him or her as your second in charge or your right-hand man or whatever. And, just go from there. Think about images. Think about the whole idea of the website. And eventually, it'll all come together.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. Thanks for sharing that, Cliff. And I know you've got some other questions, just like FX. To answer some of those, all of us are on Google+. So hit us up. If you look in our tag at the bottom of our name, it's plus.google.com /plus our name. And hit us up on Google+. We'll be happy to answer your questions. I know some of your questions as far as like who to contact and where to go next and all of those things. Just hit us up. We'd be happy to talk to you about all that stuff. And as far as that goes, remember those of you guys that are watching, we are giving away a Galaxy S4 case, the Despicable Me 2 Minion case. And if you are interested in winning that, please send me a little line over there in the Q&A, and we'll be sure to draw one of your names really soon here in the next probably 10 minutes or so. So get your name put over there so we make sure that we're able to draw from your name. I know we've got some viewers, and I don't have your names unless you put it in the Q&A. So I'll be looking out over there, and we will address that here in just a moment. Question for the rest of the guys before we get back on a few more questions and answers from the people. Android wearables. I did a special on Android wearables on a case in point not that long ago. I'm excited about them, but I want to hear your thoughts, Chuck, Cliff, Fred, and Tony, about Android wearables. Where are we going?
Well, I'll start here, and I gotta say I'm super excited, especially the Moto 360. I've got to say that from what I've seen so far, I may actually wear a watch. I've pretty much not worn a watch for the last 10 years or so. My wife actually has the Galaxy Gear, and her buying the Galaxy Gear, I actually understand why Samsung sells the Galaxy Gear now, because she's not a tech person, but she loves it. I could go into it, but I won't for now. But I've been asking for a while now, and I think this is what Android wearables is going to deliver. I want Google Now on my wrist.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're going to deliver. I don't need a ton of apps on my wrist, honestly, because I'm just going to pull my phone out if I want to do anything serious. For me personally, on my wrist, I want two things. I want to see notifications, fairly quickly. Okay, I got an email, I got a Hangout request or whatever. Maybe reply to them, but I'm not even entirely sure I care about replying to them on the phone. But the second thing that I want Google Now. I want to be able to sit in my watch and go, okay, Google Now, what's the score of the Redskins game, for example? And I want it to tell me, because I don't have to worry about with my phone. If I'm in the car, okay, Google Now, navigate to wherever I want to go.
Yeah.
I don't even want to have to pull out my phone. I think if they can deliver on those two things, for me personally, I'm sold. Pretty simple. That's really all I'm looking for.
Yeah, I agree. And if you hadn't seen my special on it or my piece on it, my thing was there's so much out there and they don't know what to do with it. All these companies are trying to get people to use their device or use their stuff on their body, and that's all that they know what to do with it. It's like make a watch, make glasses, make a blood pressure monitor, make all these things. And I'm with you, Chuck. It just needs to do a few things, but it needs to do those things well. I don't need to be able to type out an email through my watch, but I do want to respond to the notification. I want a few things. I want the notification in general. I think we're getting there, but I want to be able to do something with it. Either swipe it away, let it swipe away on the phone, or quick reply to it. I don't need to type out an email. That's a phone job. I don't need to do a whole bunch of stuff with it. But man, I can't tell you. I got a Pebble, and I'm really disappointed with it. Not because it's a bad product, because it's really good, and it does what it does, but I can't do enough stuff with it. Either that or there's 700 apps that do way too much stuff, and then it's like, okay, I don't need to do all that stuff either. I need to be simple, kind of like what Fred was talking about with LG's philosophy. This needs to be simple, but it needs to work. Google Now accomplishes a lot of that stuff, so I agree with you.
One of the things that I've noticed, and I noticed a lot when wearables started to become a big thing, even like a year after the Pebble came out, probably right around the time the Pebble Steel came out, and we started talking about Android Wear, is that people were buying smartwatches and expecting them to be phones, and they're not phones. And everybody actually, like I have right now, I have a Qualcomm Talk, and I just got this the Martian notifier in today. So I've been checking them out. Now, when I got the Qualcomm Talk, I thought this is awesome for what it is. Now, in my mind, it wasn't worth. I wouldn't pay the $250 MSRP. But now it does more than it did when I first got my hands on it. Now it's got voice to text. You can actually respond to a text message with voice to text real quick. Like if you're driving or something, that's awesome. You can compose a new text message with voice to text. Really neat things. Still, when you're thinking about, like, especially when you're buying lower end or just looking for a good deal on an unlocked phone, the way that a lot of us do, and shopping for Nexus, like I have a Nexus 5 here, you're spending only a couple $100s on a phone and you're buying it outright. You really appreciate all the things that phone does. So when somebody's asking somewhat equivalent price for a watch, they want it to do all the same things. And they want it to have a camera. No camera on my wrist. You don't need a camera on your wrist. You don't need a camera on your face, but we'll get to that another time. But in my mind, if your phone can do it, you probably don't need to have it. I need a delivery system on my wrist. All you need is a delivery system. So with this Martian notifier, this one's like I think this MSRP is at $129. I'm not sure if it's released yet. I just got it in the mail today. It's very nice looking, much nicer looking than any existing smartwatch. It's not technically a smartwatch. It just has a very small, let's see if I can get it on there. Yeah, very small. That little screen there is the notification, and it just shows you the notification. But it will read off or it will show the entire text message as it comes in. It won't just show like a little snippet. I think up to like 15 lines or something, and then it cuts off. So I got, like earlier, Cliff, when you sent that one about the SD card, I got almost that entire message, and it was a pretty long one too. But it does enough for a watch. So people are buying. It's the same thing with people buying a phone and expecting it to be their computer too. It's just, you got to know what you're buying. So you have to know, is it worth it to spend a couple $100s on this, knowing that you don't expect it to do much more than a watch can do. Just deliver me some notifications, allow me a little bit of interaction, and I'm good. Like, the one thing, this one here, this you can use as a shutter button for your camera, like the O-click for Oppo and all that. So I can take a picture with this, put my phone on a tripod and take a picture. Can't do that with a Talk. Don't know why, just can't. So right now, I think I'm anxious to see what Android Wearables does. You know, what exactly all of the options we have with Android Wear is. And I'm really excited to see the new form factors, because right now I'm bored with the square wristwatch form factors we've seen. That's why I was so excited about the Martian, because it's just such a nice looking device, even though it's a little bit more limited in what it can do.
It still looks like a watch, and that leads me to Simon Tucker's question. Now that we're talking about Android Wear, why do you think the Moto 360 is so anticipated? Have you seen We have seen hardly anything about this device. Its software, its specs, etc. Yet every time we see it in the news, people jump all over it. Why? Tony, I saw it.
Well, I tell you 2 reasons I jump over it. One, and I saw, circle. Number 1, it's a watch. But
yes.
more importantly, and I'm going to point to Apple here, when they first released the original iPhone, what was so enticing about that? It was a beautiful phone that did a couple things extremely well. And I think that one of the things that we've seen, especially with the Moto X, I mean, let's face it, if you're an Android person, unfortunately we get into specs. The Moto X, it's last year's specs, but you know what? It's an amazing phone, and why is that? Because it does what sets it apart from the other phones extremely well. Touchless controls, amazing on the Moto X. The active display, amazing on the Moto X. So I think that, especially in the tech world, people have seen what Motorola did with last year's specs on this year's phone and made it an awesome phone with amazing software, and I think they're expecting the same thing from the Moto 360. I think the Moto 360 is going to do a few things, but I think it's going to do them extremely well, and that's, me personally, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I agree. It's different. It looks like a stinking watch. You did that hard.
For anybody out there that knows me, I know it's kind of going to sound odd, but I'm an icon addict, and I've been a circle icon addict for quite some time. When I see circle icons, I gotta have them. My current watch, which you can see right here, is a fossil. It's a rectangle. My thing is with the Moto 360. Kind of like Chuck said, beautiful. It's amazing looking. If it looks just like that when we get it on our wrist or in the box when we get it in the mail or from the store, personally, I think I'm going to be golden. I think I'm going to be good to go. And again, being the owner of a Moto X, like Chuck said, with the active display, the touchless controls, all of that stuff, Motorola period is really setting standards in a lot of different ways. First and foremost, obviously, is their software. Also, their software hardware optimization. Battery life on these, I've had the Moto G and the Moto X, but the battery life on those two devices are just beyond amazing. So I think that's going to be something that we're going to see with the Moto 360. Plus, like I said, the software, the pricing that Motorola is gearing to. I mean, you had the Moto G at $200 for a 16 gigabyte unlocked phone. I mean, where do you hear about that? I mean, you don't get that everywhere. I know right now it's rumor, so everybody please don't quote me on this, but the rumor obviously is somewhere around $249 for the Moto 360. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. If Motorola stated something about that, you can pretty much take it to the bank that it's probably going to be around $249. That's just my firm belief. I don't think they're going to mislead us. In today's world, with all the technology we have, when we hear about something with a device, be it a phone, a tablet, a watch, Google Glass, whatever it is, it pretty much ends up being true. Not always, but most of the time. And I think a $240 smartwatch that's as beautiful as the Moto 360, and if it does, like Tony's talking about, like with that Martian notifier, you don't need big, clunky, you don't need the kitchen sink. I just want, like Chuck says, Google Now, a couple of other things. If I can just say, and if I say it right now, my phone's going to turn on. But if I say, okay, Google now, then, my watch picks up and it starts doing whatever I need it to do. And that's what I want my smartwatch to do.
I think a lot of it just comes down, it needs to be inobtrusive. Too many things are getting in the way. I don't need extra button presses and swipes and versus. I just need information readily available, like a notification is on our phones.
Right.
We don't ask it to retrieve the mail and then tell us what email is there. It's just there.
Right. And just so everybody knows, I've actually owned a Samsung Galaxy Gear. Sorry, Samsung, but your watch was ugly. It was horrible. It was bulky. It didn't do nothing for me. Like Albie said, I had to swipe. I had to push buttons. On that note, as some of y'all may know, and for those of you that don't know, I was one of the very first, if not the first, winner of an OMA TrueSmart smartwatch. I kept it for a day, and I sold it the very next day after I finally got it after almost a year.
I was going to say, did you ever get it?
I did actually finally get it. Took me emailing the CEO, Lauren Lepin. So shout out to you, Lauren, if you're watching or anything. But anyway, I did finally get that device. It was amazingly, I know a lot of people are going to find this hard to believe because of how old and not really obsolete, I guess you could say, but in a lot of ways it seemed like it was obsolete. It was actually a lot better device than the Samsung Galaxy Gear. As far as the things that it did, I still had to swipe. I still had to push buttons. It was it was bigger size-wise, but weight-wise and everything like that, it was actually much more comfortable than the Galaxy Gear. But it just wasn't for me. Because at the time when I got it, I think it was 2, maybe 3 days prior, Android wearables had just been announced when I finally got the OMA TrueSmart smartwatch, and the Moto 360 had already been teased within those first couple of days. So pretty much any smartwatch I got my hands on at the time was throw it to the curb. That's not what I want. I'm waiting on Motorola. So, to compare those three, again, obviously we don't have our hands on the Moto 360, but if they do half of anything like they did with the Moto G and the Moto X, along with the software from Google and everything, I'm going to tell you, this is going to be the smartwatch of the year. So everybody better get ready.
Yeah, I agree. And I really think LG to succeed needs to come out before the 360 does.
Well, I don't know if anyone else saw the supposed hands-on with the LG today, but it looks like if that's true, LG's got a ways to go. But
Yeah.
I tell you, the Moto X, changed the way that I use smartphones because I was never a big voice person until I got the Moto X. And now, even with the HTC One M8 that I have, I really do miss that functionality. As a matter of fact, I ended up using it so much that my daughter, laughs when I pick my phone up now, and she says, "Okay, Google now," for me, to try and activate the actual phone. So I think if Moto can nail the voice control, which they've done with the Moto X and to a certain extent the Moto G, I think that's going to be big.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
All right, I do want to move
always
here.
listening on a
Go ahead,
battery
Tom.
that small though. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying I don't know about always listening on a battery that small though. That was it. That was the only thing I had to add.
Well, and I did a piece on battery life too. I'll be glad when we're through with batteries and charging and all that. But that's for another show. But I do want to push one thing. Ben Shun left us a question, and this is a one-word answer. Knowing what's coming out this summer, knowing what's out right now, what is your ideal device?
I guess I'm going to have to say the Moto X Plus One. I'm a Motorola guy now. I didn't think I would ever be. I believe the Moto X Plus One, again, if they do anything similar to what they did with the Moto X and the Moto G, and what appears to be the Moto E, which is obviously a lower end phone, I don't see myself changing. I think I'm a Motorola guy. Love to have a new Motorola phone with a new Motorola watch.
There you go, Chuck.
Yeah, if I could get this form, the HTC One, with the software and the always listening of the Moto X, I would be happy as can be. I love the M8. I'm not a huge fan of Sense, although it hasn't been too bad for me. But I really, really miss always listen the active controls the touchless controls and the active display. So if the Moto X +1 or whatever they're going to call it, if you can give me front-facing speakers, which honestly in this day and age should be a standard. Back speakers on a speakerphone should be outlawed, in my opinion. Everything they should all just be on the front.
Thank you.
If you can give me that form factor, and I actually don't even care about the aluminum. I think the aluminum is great. I know a lot of people fault Samsung for their plasticky whatever they have. Personally, I don't care that much. But I want the front-facing speakers, and I want the touchless controls and the active display.
Well, you just made your ideal device. That's cheating. Fred, how about you?
Well, I'm pretty pumped up about the G3. I'll be looking forward to getting my hands on one of those for a little more than the few minutes that I was able to play around with it.
Awesome, quick and easy. I like it. Tony, I know where you're heading. What's your ideal device?
Well, see, I've turned into an apostle for Blue products, man. I love this little company. I do. And it's hard for me because I got the Life Pure XL today, this morning. So it's hard for me to say that I want something new that's coming out. And you know what? The funny thing is, even with the current / last gen processor, Snapdragon 800 that's in this, it's still, okay, I know a lot of people don't care about benchmarks. That's okay. I don't know if they're true. I don't know anything. I don't know enough about it to know. But looking at the numbers, it's in the same categories as the devices with the Snapdragon 801, and that's cool to me. I like looking at that. I like seeing it. It performs admirably. It's not quite as liquid as like the Nexus 5, which is what I'm coming from. But just for a little size comparison, here's my Nexus 5 here. It's not all that much larger than the Nexus 5. It's just square, and I'm really, really enjoying it. So I'm looking forward to see whatever comes out of Blue. And honestly, my ideal device would be anything with good solid specs, meaning a Qualcomm processor instead of MediaTek, a good amount of RAM, DDR, 2 or 3, and a little bit smaller screen, like around the size of the Moto X, like 4.8, 4.7 inch screen. That'd be my ideal device. But right now, I'm just gonna stick with whatever they come out with, and I'm gonna keep using it and keep preaching about it and keep telling everybody, hey, I'm a Nexus user that switched over to Blue because I want to see this little company out of Miami really succeed. I want to see them grow up, and they've got some stuff on the way. They got some stuff in the works, boy. I can't even talk about right now, but it is super exciting. So you will be hearing about them in the future.
Cool. And I'm not looking at anything new. I've got my Sony Ultra Z 6.5 inch little phone that everybody can't use because it's too big. They think it's a tablet. I love it. I really do. I can't say enough about it. Cliff, it doesn't lag. I know you're always concerned about Sony's lag and all that kind of stuff. But I love it. It's everything instant. It's huge. I don't have to carry around the phablet. I don't have to carry around extra stuff. It's just an amazing phone. I love it. So if you're interested in the Sony Ultra Z, I'll talk to you all day long about it like Tony will with Blue. I love my Ultra Z by Sony. It's just an amazing phone, and it's fantastic. And so now, moving right along, it is time for our winner. Hey, Nitish, you made it right here at the end. You get to help us with our winner.
Oh, there he is. Is he with us?
Hey, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What's up, Nitish?
Hey, Nitish.
All right, Nitish, join us. He's part of.
I've been trying to join for quite some time, but I couldn't. Nobody invited me. Not fair.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with it. I did invite you, and I actually invited you to end up like 3 times. So. We'll,
I know this fat guy on the left side didn't invite me. The one in the green T-shirt.
Man,
Hello, Chuck. Hello, Chuck. We're very happy to have you here.
Yes.
I'll just.
Happy to be here.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, Nitish, you're here just in time to select or help us select our winner for our Tony. If you'll show it, please. Our Galaxy S4 case. Despicable.
And the winner is
And the winner
me.
Envelope, please.
Me.
The winner is Dislex XFX. Congratulations, you've won. We'll reach out to you and try to get your information from you just as soon as possible and get that sent out to you. I'm adding you to one of my personal circles now, and then I'll catch up with you shortly. Hopefully I got that. Dislex XFX. You guys help me remember that, but we'll get your case out to you just as soon as we can.
Small shipping fee of
We got him
$19.
circled from the site's G Plus page.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, and plus I have him circled from my personal account I have for some time, so we'll definitely get in touch with him.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. Very good. I did want to thank our very special guest, Mr. Chuck Haines. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you guys for having me.
And it was an absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thanks for sharing all of your insight on things that are well beyond my scope of brain. But that's not saying a lot, as small as my brain is. But thank you for sharing your insight.
Great to have you here, Chuck. And, just real quick,
Yes.
just so everybody knows, actually, Chuck's really not going to be a special guest. He's probably going to be with us every week. So for those of you that may have more questions for Chuck, get them ready. He'll be here next week.
Absolutely. And Cliff, thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely, man. It's my pleasure. My pleasure to be here. My pleasure to have all you folks, my writers, Chuck, this little web designer guy that does icons and all this, Nitish, him. No, just kidding, buddy. And of course, all the viewers, all the readers, all the followers. We wouldn't be here because of y'all. Straight up honest. And, we don't tell you enough, but we appreciate and we thank all of you more than anything else in this world. So, we really hope you enjoyed this week, and we hope that you join us every week hereafter. Albie's going to talk about who's coming up next week, and we'll see y'all around.
Excellent. Thanks again, Fred, for sharing all your stuff about the LG G3 event. Thanks for sharing what it was like to just be there. I appreciate you coming today.
Well, we're very happy to be here and looking forward to next week. And you're going to tell us what we've got in store for next week, right?
Absolutely. Don't worry about it. Nitish, again, I know we're kind of short here with your time. We're working getting you in earlier. Thanks for showing up, at least here at the last bit for us.
Next time, please miss this every week. Wonderful. I see the comments on trending on YouTube, and everyone's liking it, which is really great to know.
Excellent. And Mr. Tony McAfee, thank you so much for joining us from the team in Swap and sharing some of your insight and being your apostle for Blue. Maybe somebody will join in on your cause. And you've got some announcement and some information for next week as well, don't you?
Oh yeah, everybody. We've got next week. We have Corey, Rob, and Aaron Caston joining us to talk about the Android barbecue this year. They're gonna come on here and just tell us a bit about what's gonna happen at the barbecue this year, kind of their hopes and dreams, and just share the evening with us. So we're really looking forward. If you guys are listening, we're really looking forward to having you both on to share the night.
Absolutely, man. That's next week's gonna be. With them two, that's going to be amazing. Get a lot of background information about the barbecue, what we can expect. For those of you that don't know, this is the 5th anniversary of the Big Android Barbecue coming up this year. I haven't personally been to one, but I'm hoping to make this one. And from what I understand, Aaron and Corey are aiming to make this, obviously, better than any in the past. So it'll be definitely interesting to see what they have to tell us next week.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, too. And for everybody that had a question over in the Q&A that we didn't get to, yeah, Chuck will be here next week, and then everybody else will be here too, including our special guests. If we didn't get to you, come back next week, and we'll try to get to everybody else that we missed. And thanks a bunch for coming and checking us out on. It's our very first BoB's On Air Tech Talk. And so thank you so much for coming and joining us and checking us out. Hopefully you guys got some good information. You guys got some good insight on what's going on with Tech Dissected and things that are going on outside of just our little circle, the things that are going on in tech in general. So thanks a bunch for joining us on our very first boat. But now it's time for the boat to leave. So thank you guys so much. We will see you all next week.